Hello Internet, welcome back to Just Add Wood in our new old house in Savannah. So this room, 1970s brick ranch house, as you can see behind me, has a ton of brick in it and a ton of paneling in it. So we're going to make some changes, and one of the first things we want to do is get rid of, if I'm not making everybody dizzy, get rid of half of this wall. So this wall that we want to reduce backs up to this side of the kitchen. So what we're planning on doing is removing all of the upper cabinets and bringing this wall down to countertop level, and then this whole kitchen sink area becomes an island. So we're going to get started by putting some protection on the floor, and we're going to start small. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. We're going to start small and take the crown molding off the top and see if we can't start chipping away some of these bricks to bring this down to countertop height. Hope you'll follow along. I'd just like to add here a couple little sidebars because this is sort of a prelude to what's to come. This is a non-load bearing wall, and we just wanted to get it started so that I could show you the progress as I move over to the next wall, which divides the living room and den. And it is a load bearing wall, and it requires a beam, and it's a big hullabaloo, and I'll show you that in the next video. But for side note here, I went through a lot of trouble to not just have the whole wall coming crash down and taking off one row at a time, and I put some protection on the floor. But you really want to do a better job with dust control. Drape some plastic, cordon off the area you're working in, unless you can do just one major final clean when you're done. But if you're living in the house, if you're adventurous as I am, or you have a patient enough wife that lets you do this stuff while you live there, cordon off your work and keep the dust out of the house. It was a major pain to get all the dust out that I created and could have been avoided. So watch what you do and keep the dust down and clean up often. Now that we've got the wall down to countertop height, let's see what it looks like and see what happens next. The joke's on me, as you'll soon discover. Here we go. All right, so we've got the wall between the kitchen and the living room, the brick knocked down to countertop height, and we discovered the original paneling behind it. So apparently the brick was part of this is a 1970s house, and it looks like it had a breakfast area addition put on sometime in the 1980s. And so this brick was apparently added during that time because the entire breakfast area is also brick. So anyway, we've got the brick down to the countertop area. We might keep it below the countertop height in the kick panel area, I guess, wherever we put bar stools or something. We might keep the brick, we're still deciding, but we knocked it down to countertop height just to decide that. And I'll take you around to the other side now. And so what we're gonna do is on this side is we're gonna remove all of the upper cabinets in this pantry style cabinet, which is now housing a microwave. We're gonna cut it off at countertop height, and we're gonna remove everything above the countertop height, and we're gonna look through into the living room and really open this area up. This is stage one of a much larger renovation. We're also gonna remove this center wall between this living room and the den dining room on the other side, but that requires beam work in the attic, and so that will come later. For the time being, we're just gonna get this stuff out of here so we can get rid of this antique Corian countertops, these yellowed antique Corian countertops, and get some granite and appliances ordered. So we're gonna get rid of these cabinets. Let's get going. Like I mentioned, we're remodeling this house while we live here, and so my adult daughter was living with us briefly, and so we had some extra hands on board to help out with this. So as I took all the cabinet doors off, my adult kids were able to give a hand pulling the cabinets down off the wall, which was really nice. And then we did everything down to, again, countertop height, because what we thought we would do, and I guess I'm just showing my age, the last house I had any involvement with building was built in the early 2000s, and in the early 2000s, a raised bar countertop bar area
was the norm. And now everybody's telling me that it's played out. So my intention initially was to do sort of leave a backsplash, do a raised bar, and it gives you a place for switches and gives you a place for outlets. Unfortunately, it's, I guess, sort of dated, so we wound up not doing it, despite me taking a lot of time to cut this pantry cabinet down to have a little raised bar area. I refit the face frame to put it all back together at its new lowered height. And I took the wall down behind it, put it all back together. And the minute we stood back and sort of looked at what was about to happen, what we were about to put new granite countertops on, we decided that's just ridiculous. This needs to be just one great big flat single level island. And so we changed gears, and that's what we did. The joke was on me after painstakingly trying to save this brick wall and this pantry cabinet. We wound up taking the brick wall all the way down to the ground, taking it back to studs just like the rest of the wall, and going ahead and drywalling it. I added a second column there on the left. You see the column on the right. I added another column on the left. And I hated to lose those great pullouts, by the way. The cabinet itself had great drawers in it, built in the mid-'80s, but they held up well. But anyway, I added a column on the left because I needed a way to run electrical down to the island. I wasn't going to bury it underneath the concrete. And there's our new sink on our old Corian. Just a little taste of what it was going to look like with the raised backsplash there before we changed our mind. And we took the rest of the wall down, and it sucked, but we did it. And again, this was not load bearing, so this wasn't a big engineering job. It was just labor intensive, taking it all apart. And then you can see the wires sort of draped there on the right of the screen. I built a column we ultimately, let me back up a little bit. We ultimately removed the pantry cabinet altogether to widen the opening, so the kitchen seemed bigger and it flowed better. And so we took it all apart and took it down and added a second column. And let me show you the final results. So this is quite a few steps forward, obviously. We skipped a ton of details. That's my wife's favorite little monkey light there. My nieces named him Abu. So that's Abu. We couldn't find him a little fez. We have to find him a little fez. But there's the two columns. We added switches and outlets. You know, one of the problems with removing all the walls in the house and getting that open concept everybody loves is there's nowhere for switches. So we put a couple switches in the column there. We put a switch for Abu on the inside of the column. We added outlets on the ends of the cabinets under the toe kicks. We added outlets on the other column there. This is new granite. We added a giant single hole sink. We added a pantry there on the right with double French doors. So there's a lot going on here. Can lights. We got rid of the old fluorescent fixture. So again, this is just a prelude to what's to come. Thanks for watching. Keep in touch and subscribe and like and leave your comments below if you want to see more of it. And I'll show you how we installed a beam to take down the big wall on the next video.